Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Rose with the Eline Podcast, and I am your host. And today we have Latifa Jennings, also known as eLuvated, and I'm very excited to be speaking with you today. First and foremost, how are you?
Greetings. I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful for this shared experience, for this connection, and just knowing where we're headed. Thank you. I appreciate you. You are doing exactly what you need to do. I'm grateful to be here. Thank
Oh,
you for asking.
thank you for making the time for us today. So, today we're gonna get in like a little bit about you, a little bit of your background, what you do, where you are now in the present. So a little background, guys. Latifa is a writer, a podcast host, certified yogi, etc. She does it all, and she is like uh, just an amazing being from what I know. So a lot of you may not know that I know of you from like my best friend, who is your sister. So my best friend, Elijah, of over 14 years. It seems like forever. And know you of course, but never like in a depth level. And it's so crazy. I was thinking earlier, it's like seeing where we both are now and how like life works. It's just like look at me, like just having like a chat with you for a podcast. We're both podcasters and just doing it, and I'm just so excited. So
Mhm.
before we get started, I want to start off with something like a little fun so we can like kind of get to know you. So two truths and one lie. So pretty much you have to come up with two truths and one lie, and I'm going to try and guess what is the lie.
Okay.
All right, so can you come up
Okay.
with something?
Yes. Okay. So I'll say one, I was in the army for 7 years. Two, I I love ooh. I, it's like me not trying to tell myself, you feel me? So one, I was in the army for 7 years. I love to eat potatoes, and my last thing would be um I've never been engaged.
Okay. So army for 7 years. You like to eat potatoes. Are you've never been engaged?
Hmm.
Oh, this is okay. And to be clear, you're vegan or mostly plant based, or you
Yes.
so like 100% vegan? Okay,
No, mostly predominantly
just
plant-based.
predominantly plant based. Okay.
Hmm.
So you, of course, potatoes are technically, I guess, in the plant based realm. So I'm just, I didn't think. I don't know why I'm interested in hearing the whole engagement thing. So, oh, but I kind of feel like that's army for 7 years. How about the potatoes? Is that the lie that you like potatoes?
No.
No. Okay, so I know you're in the army for a while. So the engagement?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the lie.
Yeah.
So you said that you were never engaged,
Yes.
but you were engaged. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're learning something. Okay, because I didn't know, even though I'm best friends with one of your sisters, but it's not like she's telling me your business.
Right.
That's interesting. How long have you been engaged? Like how many times?
uh, mm. Us two times like officially and one unofficial time.
The one official time is funny. So one unofficial. So the one unofficial. That's funny. I've never heard that. One unofficial. So what does that mean? One unofficial.
Well, the unofficial one is there wasn't a ring or anything involved. It was just like it was one of those, hey, will you
Okay.
better be yeah, dude, it was like that, but it wasn't official.
Okay. I get it. I get it. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I love it. That's okay. That is funny. I love it because I've never known that story. I never knew that or anything like that. So
Hmm.
okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so you like to eat potatoes, and you're in the army for 7 years. So those are truths. And now we know that you were engaged 2 times
Hmm.
officially. One was unofficial.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Okay, this is exciting. So I'm getting to know more about you because okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna like tap in. We're gonna talk about okay. Let me see. You have like a history of like a lot of different things, but I really want to talk about Balanced Expressions Volume One. I don't know how this is gonna
Hmm.
show on camera, but
Okay.
so this is a poetry book by you, Latifah Jennings, aka Elevated. And by the way, do you prefer to be called like Elevated or Latifah? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I'm in that stage where I'm so used to Latifa. It's been here for so long, and there's such a beautiful meaning behind my name as well.
Yeah.
And then Elevated was just something I birthed on my journey. So it's really a balance of both. Either goes. I love them both.
Okay, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I want to say that ooh, I really love this. I love poetry. I've never really shared that with people, but this was really good. Like it's just something that I feel like I will always kind of like pull out if I just feel like I just
Mm,
need something, some type of words of encouragement. Or what I like about it is you wrote this like all of these poetry, like everything was between 2015 to 2019. And this is just volume one. And
mm-hmm.
by the way, before we get even more into this, I did see, are you working on, you have like a volume two in the works, correct? Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Excited about that. Okay, so we'll get into that later. So can you give us like a little background of like the process of how this became? Because I
Hmm.
read like in the book, I think you had like a friend, you weren't going to release it, right, originally, but you had like a friend who kind of like motivated you to just put it out, in which,
Yeah.
thank you, friend. I forgot her name. What was your friend's name?
Shakira.
Shakira. Shout out to you, Shakira. Thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, what does this mean to you? And like, tell me a little bit about the process of how this came about.
Um, this is from the depths of me. So these were things that I've written that I've always kept to myself, things that I've felt internally, and where I was always the type of person to just be like that, just keep everything to myself, write about it, express myself in the way that I understood or that I understand. And with that, it's like me telling my secrets, you feel me? So that was why I held on to it for so long, because this has been one of those things where I will write when my experiences in relationships, my experiences with anybody in my life, pretty much for the most part, and those experiences that I've had personally with myself. So I just decided to keep everything in my notes, because I was in the army, and with me going from place to place and traveling different areas, I didn't always have a notebook. I had a notebook when I was younger, but then as I got older, it was just like, okay, the phone is right here. It's
No
we lived through that. We lived
phone,
through the
no
change, but
phone.
we started with writing. We started with our notebooks. That's how we started before we had the Nokias and the
Right.
Motorola's and
Flip
stuff.
phones.
So
All
so I just, it was just always in my notes. It was just iPhone notes that I would keep. And
I
when
was
I write, I just, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was laughing at myself because when I realized you started writing this like in 2015 on your iPhone, you noted, and I was like, I wonder what iPhone was out and which iPhone you had at that moment, because there's so many now. So I'm like, which iPhone was that? That was like back in the day,
Right.
like iPhone 2, 3, because I can't remember when it came, but maybe it would have been like the 6 or something. Maybe who
It
knows?
was like five. It
It was
was
like
like the
5.
five, because my first one was a four. My first iPhone was iPhone 4. I was in Korea when I got it. I never forget it. But it was like the 5 when I had this, and it was just my way of just like, okay, I got something to say, and I don't feel comfortable enough saying this to anybody else right now, so I'm gonna just keep write it in my notes and keep it to myself.
Great. Okay. And so 2015. So you mentioned that that was like your last year of like active duty, which we've learned that you've been like, in the army for 7 years.
Hmm.
So can you just kind of like reflect on that time of like this being your last time, you know, pretty much in active duty in the army, and then
Hmm.
2015, you're writing more in depth. Like, how was that time for you? That shift?
Ooh, it was something that I was completely ready for. And then when it came, I just started taking off with whatever it is that I wanted to do. So with 2015, I didn't get out of the army until August of 2015. Well, active duty. I got out in August of 2015. That year, so much for me changed. Like I knew that I was getting out and I was preparing myself. I was currently staying in the state of Washington. I got me a place in Washington, everything, had planned on staying there. And then I realized I didn't have nobody that I knew personally around me. So I ended up leaving and I came back home to South Carolina. So that falls into me just moving back from Washington again. It was like completing that stay there that I left in 2015. I had a job working part-time in Target while I was active duty in the army. I ended up getting fired for that because I was always calling out. I was like, okay, I know I need money. I need a job for when I get out of the active duty. So let me go ahead and start working at Target. But I'm also active duty in the army. I'm trying to live my best life on the weekends,
Right.
and y'all always got me on the schedule. Like, so I'm calling out. I'm being. It was one of those times. I was off the chain in 2015. To be completely honest with you, I was off the chain. I was just turning up. I had recently locked my hair in 2014, so I was wearing wigs and stuff because my locks weren't acceptable in the army. They just made it legal, I'll say. What's the word I'm looking for? But pretty much I'll say legal. That'll fit in for
Yeah.
it. But it was one of those things where I also didn't know much of myself. Like I was so caught up in people pleasing during that time. And that's with balanced expressions. It goes into how I was so caught up in trying to be there for everybody or be this person for everybody that I wasn't that person for myself. So that's why I kept things internally and I dealt with so much on the inside because everybody had me, but I didn't feel like I had anyone. You
Oof,
feel me?
well,
So yeah,
yeah,
it
I
was it
saw
was it
that.
was that. It was
Oh,
a lot. It was a lot. I had a big personality, but it was kept in. It was big to me, but I was that type of person where I'm with my friends, I'm turning up, I'm having a good time, but I have all of these things that I have to say that I'm not talking about, that I'm writing about in my iPhone. And that was 2015 for me. It was a change in so many ways and I learned a lot, but we here now.
hey, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, and thank you for sharing that with us all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because
Most
so many
definitely.
people, I think, listening, definitely needed to hear something like that. Definitely me for sure. And like, I just related to everything
Mm,
that you just said, and like you saying that you had like this, personality, this big personality. You're with your friends. Like a lot of people, you're comfortable with people you love, but then you don't really show all these other aspects of yourself, to the world and this and that. And you keep it to yourself. And, I feel like a lot of us at times will kind of dim our light or like who we are. And then it's also like, the state of progression of life and, growing
mhm,
and just learning and, in finding yourself, and that's one thing I would
mhm,
say that's so beautiful about you. And then I've been following you like the past couple of years online. It's like just seeing this whole journey of you finding yourself and like who you are, which it's always, like we're always going to go through that of like, finding quote unquote, finding ourselves. But I think it's also of like, finding, peace, balance of just knowing who we are so we can navigate through life a lot better,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how early did you start writing, by the way?
Mm, as a kid, so I remember second grade, Varnville Elementary. I remember getting an award for having some good cursive handwriting. So it was like they started with that. Like I used to always enjoy how I wrote, and then just as I progressed, so like fourth grade, third, fourth grade, it was all of that. Like okay, finding your, like you finding your friends and who you enjoy being around and who you having a good time with. But as I'll say, that's like 8, 9 years old or something like that. I didn't really
Yeah.
calculate it, but definitely at an early age. I remember for Christmas one time, I really wanted the secret diary that I saw. I wanted that. You can lock it up. You can write what you want to write in there and have a little luck. Like nobody can get a luck, but as a kid, I definitely wanted a secret diary. I used to write my songs and everything just to express myself.
Oh my gosh, yes. And also in the book, you mentioned that you used to sing with your church choir, right?
Hmm.
Or so, yeah, because I didn't even realize that you like sing. Like, how is that? Do you still like to sing?
I like to sing for myself.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like to
But that's
say.
no, no, that's beautiful though. That's beautiful though. I love it. Actually, I think
Mhm.
like you posted something recently online and you were singing, and I loved it. It was something you were sharing with us, and you were singing, and I actually loved it, by the way,
Thank
because
you.
I felt like your soul and your spirit, like you needed to, like in that moment, you needed to sing, and that's what I felt. And
Mm.
and touching on that, there was something also in the book to where you mentioned about like writing for like people sometimes, especially when you had something to say. Can you elaborate
Mm.
on that?
Yes, yes. So with my friends, like my closest friends, say somebody would come to me with something or about anything that they were currently experiencing in their life, and I always had that within me where I would just start writing something to help guide them through that current experience that they were having. And it was always something that just came to me. When I'm talking God given, definitely feel that, and I love that I was able to do that for people. Just here are some words. It's if if I can't think of the right things to say correctly or the right things to tell you right now in this moment, I'll allow spirit to guide me. And that's what happened. I would just start writing. However, the things that they were expressing to me, I took that and I turned that into, this is how you can handle this situation, or you can turn this experience into this instead.
Ah, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Okay, so I feel like we're like I love it because our conversation we're just talking a little bit about this and that, but right now in this moment, I want to talk about your yogi journey because
Yeah.
you have online classes, you do like personal like videos of like yoga sessions, and can you
Mhm.
elaborate on that? When did you get into like doing yoga, practicing yoga,
Mhm.
and being certified? And can you like just basically just give us a brief history on that? Because I'm interested. I love.
Okay. Definitely. So one of my closest friends, she introduced me to yoga. I met her back in like 2014. Both of us were stationed in Washington in the Army, but she's always inspired me in just different ways of my life. She introduced me to yoga and she talked about doing hot yoga. My first time ever doing yoga was hot yoga, and this was 2018. That was the first time I ever did yoga, and I fell in love with it. Like I was like, yes, oh my gosh. The instructor, she was just on point with the cues. It was everything. And it was such a great experience for me just practicing. So I would start doing it. This was 2018. I started doing hot yoga. I was living in Virginia, and I was just going to my classes whenever I signed up. And from there, led to me not practicing as much as things begin to shift in life. But then when I got back in Washington, or before heading there, actually, I would still do my own practices, just watching. Her name's Yoga with Cassandra on YouTube. I would just start practicing with her on YouTube, and then I moved to Washington, and I was like, okay, yoga is something I really want to do, and I want to I want to bring the experience that I remember when I first stepped into a yoga class, where I knew that everything that I felt, it was okay. It was okay for me to release it. It was okay for me to really be present in the moment and honor my body, my mind, and my soul in that moment. And I wanted to take that and give that experience to other people in a way that I knew how. So that's how I got into learning to teach, and I learned at Twist Yoga in Edmonds, Washington. My teacher name is Kate Towell. I love Kate so much. She was just such a beacon of light, because on my yoga journey, like becoming a teacher, so much happened. This was 2021. So much happened. Like, it required me to surrender, it required me to release, it required me to just feel what I needed to feel and heal in areas that I had restricted myself. And every time I went to my teacher training, it was a confirmation. Every single time it was a confirming experience for me, and it reminded me that I was right where I needed to be in that moment every time, and I was doing exactly what I needed to do, and I love that.
Oh my gosh. Right where you needed to be. That's what I love, because you knew that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this felt right. And I think a lot of times we all need to like just go with that gut feeling of like, this is right,
Mm-hmm.
and go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. So we've been talking about Washington. So you lived there, what, two separate occasions? So like, tell me about the whole experience of like Washington for you, and because you didn't really have anyone out there, right? You moved
No.
yourself. I know them
Nobody.
there. So yeah, like, how was Washington for you? Because we've been talking about it, so I want to know, like, how was it, the experience overall? Like, what did you learn from
It
being in Washington?
watch the being in Washington, living with myself for the first time, so not having anybody around for the first time ever in my life, it brought out so much in me. It made me feel the things that I needed to feel on a completely different level, on a spiritual level. It forced me to truly build that connection with myself. I was already working towards it, but then it brought up a whole nother beast I ain't even knew I had in me. Like, I'm like, okay, so I'm outside, I'm just living my best life. I don't care who see me, I don't care who's
Yeah.
watching, I'm just being me. And it was such a genuine and pure expression of myself. So with all of the things, there was so much that happened in Washington. I told you I was engaged once. That was one of the times I was
Oh,
engaged, was in
in
Washington.
Washington. Okay. So you
So
was Washington, you was isolated, you was learning, and you was just doing the thing. You was just doing it all.
yes, just being me and just listening. I listening to spirit like I've never listened to spirit before. So that was me walking away from jobs. I'm like, okay, this don't feel right for me right now. This doesn't feel like I should be doing this. Even with me going to yoga teacher
Mm.
training, I did not know how I was physically going to pay for my training, but I believed that it would happen. So it took a lot of me just getting out of my own way this time in Washington, because I really had to sit with myself and face myself and just be myself, just allow myself to surrender and be like authentically and enjoy the moment, enjoy every single moment, no matter what it was, no matter how it felt like, just to embrace the experience and just acknowledge that I'm here for a reason. This is happening for me. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. What am I learning out of this? How am I taking this on or carrying this on forward with me in my life? And what can I do differently? So It was a lot. It was so much, and it was so fulfilling because I didn't have anybody around. So just spending that time with myself, it was necessary. Like it was definitely necessary and right on time.
I can only imagine just, and by the way, when we say Washington, that was Seattle, guys.
Not DC.
Some people are maybe like, DC? No, Seattle. And also, it rains a lot there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It rains a lot. It's from like, well, you know what I've heard. Every time like I think of like Seattle, Washington, I think about Twilight, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always,
Everybody.
and I just like a lot of rain and less sunshine. That can also be kind of challenging, I bet. And it's, it's good
Yes.
to make sure that you're aware and being in the present. And once again, like I love how you practice staying in the moment and being present and taking in things, because
Mm-hmm.
we live in a society to, of course, everything's on the go. We have our cell
Mm-hmm.
that, and it takes us out of the moment. And so I think
Yep.
a lot of us don't really make that time to make the space for ourselves, mentally, and
Mm-hmm.
it's also, we're like trying to be there for people, our family, friends, spouses, significance, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
we take away in work, having to pay bills, this, that, survival mode. And it's like, it's a lot,
Yep.
it's a lot.
Yep.
And so I love that. And thank you for just sharing that with us all, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
And okay, so let's talk about your podcast. So before we started the interview, we were like a quick little chat, and so I was telling Latifah about like my day to day, which was kind of challenging, but I'm like, it's gonna get better, this, that, and the third. But I didn't get to listen to your podcast on Monday, so I listened to the episode today, and it helped me so much. And every time I do check out your podcast, it's, I don't know, like I always know that it's meant for me to hear. And
Mm.
that's what I love, and it's just so beautiful. So like, when did you start your whole podcasting journey, and how is that going for you? And like, just let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. 2018
Okay.
is when I started it. I birthed the name eLuvated prior to getting to that moment. So with whew, so much.
And by the way, I
So
was going to ask you, where where does elevated stem from? Like, where did you come up with that name? By the way,
okay.
real quick.
The way that I spell it, got you. The capital L is for Latifah. But as for that's why I have the L capitalized,
Yeah.
but love is what I wanted to incorporate it in the name, as far as going to continuously go up in life with love. So that's the short meaning of it. To be elevated is to continuously go up in life with love. And it's the more that you give into that, the more that you're pouring into that, or you're operating from a space of love, you go up in life. So that's where that stems from. And it's been something that it was a reminder to myself.
Yeah.
That's how that's it. I birthed that name in a time of darkness, in a time where I didn't really know who I was, or what it is that I was doing. I was just caught up following up with somebody else, and I really needed to take that time and turn it around for me, because I know I am loved. I know how I love. I know how it feels to love, because that's the love that I have within me. So it was one of those things where I just wanted to pour into myself. I wanted to pour that love into myself, and give that love to myself. And that's how I birthed the name.
Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was wondering, and I like that because you spell it Eluvated. So I like how you said the love, because elevate is like usually
Mm-hmm.
like ELE, but you have a UV. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that. And the L for Latifah. I love that. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So okay. So let's go back into the podcasting now. So like,
Mm-hmm.
talk more about that. Okay.
So it didn't start off being the messages that everyone hears today. It started off as me getting on there to share my favorite poetry, like as you see in Balanced Expressions. It started that way with just I wanted to share my poetry, but I used to be too afraid to go up to open mics and just say what I had to say. I used to be a very afraid, like I used to be that I was just shy and stuff. Like thank God I broke out. I'm grateful I broke out of that because now
Right.
you gonna see me, you gonna hear me, you gonna feel me. So,
Right.
but but I started off in that way, just getting on there to record my poetry, and the episodes would be like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute. It was never long. It was just okay. I want to share my poetry, and I'm going to use this podcast to do so. This ain't got nothing to do with podcasting. I just heard somebody talk about this app before, like on the radio or something. I heard about Anchor, and I had it downloaded on my phone. I was like, you know what? I'm about to start getting on here and saying what I got to say, and I would do that. So I was at this period in my life where I would go outside, have my sessions standing underneath the moon with the stars and just connecting. I would talk, I would pray, I would just say whatever I had to say. And then it just came to me to start getting on the podcast, and rather than just sharing my poetry, to say more, to encourage people, to put that message out there. And it was never just for everybody else, it was all for myself. So these were personal conversations that I was having with myself to encourage myself and to empower myself and to uplift myself. And I just wanted to share that with everybody else to hear. So that's what we had today. Is I call it my audible journal now. Like
Yes. Yes.
this.
No, that's great. That's great because it's coming from you in the moment, how you feel, and you sharing like an extension of yourself that's being felt, that's being felt. Like I
Mhm.
told you, like when I listen to it, I feel it. And that's all that
Mhm.
matters. And then it's also helping you. So that's beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, so when are we going to get Balanced Expressions Volume 2? Do we have like a day? Is it like, what can you share with us? What type of teas can you give us for like part 2?
Okay, so with part two, I broke it up into different sections this time. One of them is titled "The Remembrance." That's the title of one of them. Yeah.
I can
I
just
broke it up.
like right now.
But I did break it up into sections this time. It's still poetry that I've written over the years that I've collected, and it starts from this one is from 2018 into 2021.
Ooh,
Um
I was just about to
and
ask.
yeah, so it's like Swift. It's like one. It's not too many that's recent because it's like I'm doing this thing where I got this. Also, my first time, y'all. This is my first time ever like putting my work out there and ever writing a book and doing this thing myself. So it's something I'm figuring out along the way. I'm learning through this process, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, it's my book has been calling my name so many times in my journal. I would just hear, just go ahead and put your book out there. So that's what I'm doing. Like it's no sense in holding back now. Like
Exactly. Don't hold back. Hey,
just,
I feel like we all need to be heard at some point.
Mhm.
And as a collective, I think we all need to be heard at some point. So that's good. As
Definitely, yeah,
long as it's
most
not hate when I
definitely.
say that. I hate we all need to heard. Sometimes, as long as it's love. How about that elevate? Some people, they're ready for like the hate, and we don't need that
Okay, okay.
the positivity. But okay, so
This year, 2022, we have Balanced Expressions Volume 2 coming.
all right.
I will share this with you, but I recently just ordered an updated copy of the book, the one because I had to edit some things, but I just recently ordered an updated copy of the book, and then once that comes in, I'm like, okay, is this time? I gotta ask for my guidance from spirit. Like, okay, is it time to release it? And we're gonna
Exactly.
go from there. We're gonna
Love
go
it.
from there.
Okay, well, we're excited. I'm excited for sure. I cannot wait. I already love volume one, so I'm excited. Always watching you, excited to see your growth and where you are, and I'm sure it's going to be great and amazing. So I love that. I love that. I love that, and always wishing you the best.
Most
Okay, so
definitely.
we're gonna wrap up, but I want to ask you, what inspires you to keep going in life in general? Like, what inspires you to keep going?
Mm, my younger self.
Mm.
My younger self, the child who had so many dreams growing up here in Hampton County, South Carolina, where like
I know. I know.
so it was my younger self. It's far beyond me now, just my family. Like, I see we deserve so much, and for so long we haven't felt as if we did, and getting to that place of knowing your worth and knowing that I deserve more, and knowing that the younger me was the same person who asked for this. It was the younger me who was under the stars wishing, like, I want to be rich. Like, my mama, she just taking care of the four of her girls on her own. Like, we had to I learned how to appreciate the things that I did get, because as a child I was caught up worrying about the things that I didn't have. And this is for the younger me who always just wanted to be like, if anything, I just wanted to be myself. So that inspires me. My seeing my sisters with their kids, my family, just everybody got, like, it's everybody, my family, just being from here in Varnville, like, just this keeps me going, knowing that this is where I came from and this is where I am now, and I've come so far. And because I've come so far, it's only right for me to keep going. Like, it's only right, because it's getting better and better and better. Like, who I am today, I dreamed of being this person. Like, my younger self is proud of who I am today, and because of that, it's only right I keep showing up for her as her. We deserve this.
Yes, 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 yes. The younger self, and you, I know you're making your younger self proud, and we see it. And continue, 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 because everything that you're doing, you're really touching a lot of people. And just
Mm.
keep going, because you're touching me for sure. And so I thank you. We thank you here at Elime. And before we go, where can we find you online? Like, where can we find Balanced Expressions?
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find your yoga classes? And where can we find you on social media?
Okay, got you. So, Balance Expressions Volume One, I currently have that. It's being sold on the website that I built it on. So, Blurb, if you go to my socials, you'll definitely see the site. As far as my yoga, it's www.abreathbacktoself.com. God bless me with that, a breath back to self. Because when you breathe and come back to yourself, you come back to your truest and your most
Yes.
authentic self, the person that you're only intended to be in the present moment.
Mm.
I'm on social media, both Instagram and Twitter, at Living Elevated. That's LIVINGELUVATED, Living Elevated. And on there, I have my link trees in my bio. So if you click on my link tree, you'll see Balanced Expressions Volume 1. You'll see the podcast. You'll see the website. You'll see all of that on my link tree. And I just, before I finish up, I want to pour into you. Thank you so much, Mark, for reciprocating this energy. Thank you for this energetic exchange. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for considering me and seeing me. I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm pouring nothing but love, peace, light, and blessings into you and all it is that you're doing and you're creating. May you be fulfilled. May you keep going and know that no matter what, you got this. I'm happy to see you grow and glow. And when you are doing the doggone thing, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Most
you. I
definitely.
really appreciate that. Thank you so much, so much, so much, because I feel it.
Yeah, love
Well,
always.
this is the eLine Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Rose, speaking with eLuvated, Latifah Jennings. We had a great chat, and I want to thank you to everyone who has taken the time to listen to us, wherever you are right now in the present. I hope that you all, felt something from this conversation, because I know I have. And we're always going to wish you well, elevated, and we want to thank you once again.
I appreciate you.
Alrighty. Until next
Peace.
time, everyone, keep creating.
Peace.